Welcome to the Sigma Plus podcast, where we take you on insightful journeys into the world's best books and articles on success, investment growth, mindset, achievement, and more. Okay, let's unpack this. Today, we are diving deep into the inner workings of financial success, specifically through the lens of Harv Eker's foundational work, Secrets of the Millionaire Mind.
Yeah, it's a really essential read, I think. It challenges the standard way we think about getting wealthy, doesn't it?
It really does. You look at all the external stuff, stock market strategies, real estate deals, business plans.
And you naturally assume success is just about having the right skills or maybe getting lucky.
But Eker says, hold on. Focusing only on the how-to of money is like trying to install fancy new software on a computer that's running an ancient, clunky operating system underneath.
Exactly. The central idea we're digging into today is that real, lasting financial success. It isn't primarily about those external actions. It's fundamentally driven by these unconscious thought patterns. It's the inner game of wealth.
The inner game. I like that.
Right. So our mission here is to give you a kind of shortcut, a way to get really informed on this millionaire mindset.
We're breaking down the core principles, the ways of thinking, the behaviors that really separate people who are consistently well off from, well, everyone else.
Yeah, it's about understanding your own programming, seeing it clearly, and then figuring out how to overwrite the bits that might be holding you back.
Okay, so let's start with the core idea. Eker calls it the unconscious driver. He basically argues that every single one of us has this really deep-seated, often quite rigid relationship with money. And it gets set up super early in childhood.
And this blueprint, this internal setting, it dictates the level of wealth you'll actually be comfortable having later on.
You see it play out all the time, don't you? Especially with people who get sudden windfalls.
Oh, definitely. Like lottery winners, the statistics are pretty grim, actually. So many end up broke, or even worse off, just a few years after winning millions.
Or think about those entrepreneurs who, they build something amazing, sell it for a fortune,
and then somehow manage to lose it all on the next venture. It's like a cycle.
Right. They might have that temporary Midas touch. They can make the money.
But they can't keep it or grow it, which suggests their financial baseline, their comfort zone, is actually much lower than that temporary peak income.
So the money blueprint, how does Eker explain that?
He uses this great analogy of the mind as a computer.
Yeah.
The money blueprint is like the internal hard drive. These fundamental programs about money got installed way back when we were kids.
Things like how money's earned, how you should handle it.
Exactly. And crucially, how much money feels normal or safe to you. These thought structure got saved, kind of permanently etched in.
Okay, but if it's permanently etched in, that sounds a bit final, like we're stuck with whatever program we got as kids.
Well, not quite permanent as in unchangeable, but rigid is maybe a better word. It's rigid because it constantly tries to pull your financial reality back to its default setting.
Ah, okay. And that's where the thermostat analogy comes in, right?
Precisely. Let's really focus on that because it's such a clear way to picture it.
Okay.
Imagine your subconscious programming for money is like a thermostat set to, say, 70 degrees. That's your financial comfort zone.
Right.
Now, if your actual income temperature drops, maybe you lose a client, things slow down and it hits 60 degrees. Bang.
Yeah.
Your internal system kicks in, you feel uncomfortable, motivated, you start working harder, saving more, looking for opportunities to get back up to that 70-degree mark.
Okay, that makes sense. You try to get back to normal.
But here's the flip side. What if you get a big bonus or a project takes off and your income shoots up to 80 degrees?
You think that's great.
Logically, yes.
Yeah.
But that internal thermostat, still set at 70, says, whoa, too hot. And subconsciously, you'll start finding ways to cool things down.
Yeah.
Maybe through excessive spending, making some questionable investment decisions, missing an opportunity. You'll do things that bring your financial reality back down to that familiar 70 degrees.
So if your thermostat is set low, maybe for a decent salary, but nothing extravagant getting extra cash actually makes you uncomfortable on some level.
Exactly. You subconsciously find ways to get rid of it, splurging, maybe a risky gamble, because the normal setting is lower income.
Yeah.
You essentially, without realizing it, sabotage your way back to what feels safe.
Wow. So the drive isn't really to accumulate more. It's just to stay at that set temperature.
That's the crux of it. Now, contrast that with someone whose thermostat is set high programmed for wealth, asset growth, big numbers.
Okay.
If they face a massive setback, say lose $1 million, Their programming kicks in differently. They don't panic in the same way. They think, okay, how do we fix this? They offset the loss, generate new income, save aggressively. Their deeply held belief is that wealth must be regained and maintained. It's their normal.
Eker mentions people like Donald Trump, for example, who've lost huge fortunes but seem to always bounce back to billionaire status because their internal setting is just different. They think like billionaires, even when they're temporarily down.
Exactly. Their thermostat is set way up high.
So this really shifts the focus, doesn't it? Away from just looking at the stock market or business trends.
It puts it squarely on your internal landscape. The real challenge for most people isn't finding the next hot stock tip. It's dealing with that inner programming that's constantly trying to pull them back down, keeping them from reaching or staying at a higher level of wealth.
Which explains why it's not just about getting rich.
Right. It's about staying rich. That's the critical part. If most people are programmed for lower or middle incomes, they need a fundamental internal shift to build and maintain lasting wealth. That's real affluence.
Okay, so if this blueprint gets installed when we're kids, we need to figure out where these programs actually came from. Eker points to three main sources. First up, verbal conditioning.
Yeah, basically the things you heard over and over again about money when you were growing up.
And these aren't just throwaway comments, are they?
Not at all. They're like little emotional anchors. Think about common ones like, money is the root of all evil. If you hear that enough,
You start to believe it on some level. You associate being rich with being bad.
exactly. And your subconscious, wanting to protect your self-image as a good person, will subtly work to keep you from getting too wealthy. It's self-protection.
And what about things like, money doesn't grow on trees?
That one installs a belief in scarcity. Money is hard to get. There's never enough. It fosters a mindset of limitation.
Or the classic, you can't buy happiness. Which sounds wise, but...
But it can also be a convenient excuse, right? A reason not to really go for financial success because, hey, it doesn't guarantee happiness anyway. It lets you off the hook.
So that's the verbal stuff. What's the second source?
That's role modeling or conditioned behavior. This is about what you saw your parents or primary caregivers do with money. Their actions speak volumes, often louder than words.
Their spending habits, whether they saved, how they approached earning.
Yeah, it's like watching continuous video tutorial that gets saved directly to your subconscious hard drive.
Eker gives some interesting examples here, like how the division of labor was handled.
Right. Think about a simple, common scenario. A child is always told, need money, go ask your father. What does that subtly teach?
That the man handles the money, that maybe women aren't supposed to or aren't good at it.
Exactly. It embeds these gendered financial roles regardless of whether they reflect reality. And these assumptions can stick for life.
And then there's the impact of scarcity experiences. If your parents went through really tough times,
Like the Great Depression or maybe wartime rationing or just a period of real financial struggle, that constant feeling, that visceral experience that there's never enough money, it gets absorbed by the child.
and that can lead to, what, extreme frugality later.
Often, yes. Maybe saving obsessively, driven by fear. Which seems disciplined, but it can actually hold you back later. Because you might become terrified of taking the calculated risks needed for real investment and growth.
Your goal becomes just survival, hoarding what you have instead of growing it.
Precisely. It's a defensive posture, not an expansive one.
Okay, so we get these programs installed through words and actions. How do we react to them? Eker talks about two paths, identification or rebellion.
Right. Identification is pretty straightforward. You basically copy your parents' financial patterns directly. If they were savers, you're a saver. If they live paycheck to paycheck, you might too.
But the rebellion path, that sounds like breaking free, doesn't it? Isn't that good?
You'd think so, but Eker argues it's often a trap. It's where a lot of ambitious people stumble.
How so?
Okay, let's say your parents were really frugal, always worried about bills, maybe seemed poor in your eyes. Your rebellious reaction might be, I will never be like that, I'll show them.
So you go out and make a lot of money. Seems successful.
On the surface. But what's the motivation? It's often rooted in anger or a need to prove your parents wrong to feel superior. It's not really about building wealth for its own sake, for freedom or independence. It's about fighting the past.
And why is that motivation unstable?
Because it's reactive, not proactive. You're still letting the old blueprint dictate your actions, just in reverse. people driven by this kind of rebellion often end up in compulsive spending. They buy the flashy car, the huge house.
They aren't like their penniless parents.
Exactly. But that very act shows they're still operating in reaction to that old program. They haven't truly broken free. They've just created an opposite but potentially equally damaging pattern that often drains their capital.
And then when the initial thrill of showing them wears off.
The underlying programming can reassert itself. The money might disappear, leading back towards that original lower thermostat setting. It's not a stable foundation.
As opposed to someone who maybe have more positive programming.
Right. Someone who learned maybe implicitly that anything is possible with money, where the drive is genuinely towards independence, creating value, having freedom. That provides a much more solid base for lasting wealth.
Eker's own story is a powerful example of this, isn't it? The whole cycle with his father.
Oh, absolutely. He talks about watching his dad build successful businesses, sell them for a good profit.
Only to then take all that profit and plow it into some new, often high-risk venture.
And inevitably end up broke again, starting the cycle all over. The classic financial roller coaster.
And Eker realized he was doing the exact same thing in his own life.
Yeah, he was successful at making money, he had the drive, but he kept hitting these bust cycles, losing what he'd made. He was unconsciously replicating his father's pattern. He was great at the earning game, but terrible at the keeping game.
Because his blueprint was essentially said to make a fortune, then lose it.
Exactly. And it wasn't until he consciously recognized that deep-rooted pattern, that inherited blueprint, that he could actually start to change it and build wealth that lasted. So this brings us to the crucial part. Change. And the absolute starting point, according to Eker, is consciousness, awareness.
Realizing that if your finances feel stuck or you're on that roller coaster, it's probably not about the economy or bad luck.
Right. It's almost always stemming from that unconscious inner setting. But the good news is, he argues strongly, you can reprogram your mind. It's not set in stone. But first, you have to see the pattern clearly.
Which leads to step one, the inventory. This sounds like some serious self-reflection is needed.
It is. It requires real honesty. You need to actively identify which specific files, which beliefs are currently running your financial life.
And how do you do that practically?
Eker suggests actually writing things down. Make a list. How did your parents or other key role models handle money? Were they spenders, savers, investors, anxious, generous, reckless?
And also list the specific things you heard them say about money.
Yes, those verbal conditionings. Write down the phrases that stick in your head. Did you hear, "We can't afford that," constantly? And do you find yourself now automatically thinking you can't afford things, even when maybe your income says otherwise? Connect the past message to the present belief.
And then you need to look at the present reality, right? No hiding?
Absolutely. Your current bank balance, the performance of your investments or lack thereof, your debt levels, your spending habits. All of this is like a readout. It's a brutally honest report card showing exactly where your financial thermostat is currently set.
It reveals the programming in action.
Precisely. Are you programmed for growth or for struggle or for just getting by? The numbers don't lie.
Okay, so you've done the honest inventory. What's next?
Step 2 is what Eker calls flipping the switch. This is the conscious realization, the intellectual understanding that you actually have a choice. You can choose to adopt a different way of thinking, a new blueprint geared towards wealth.
But isn't this where a lot of people get stuck? They read the book, they nod along, they understand the concept.
But they don't actually change. Yes, that's a huge failure point. Knowledge alone isn't enough.
Why not?
Because the old programming is deeply embedded. Reading a book adds new information, but it doesn't automatically delete or overwrite the old core operating system. You have to actively, consciously work to replace the old files with new ones. It's an active process, not passive learning.
Which brings us to step 3, declarations and mantras. Now, this might sound a bit out there for some people, just saying things out loud.
Yeah, I get the skepticism. It can feel a bit like wishful thinking, like The Secret or something. I have a millionaire mind. Okay, great. Now what?
So what's the actual logic behind it? According to Eker, why is this necessary?
The rationale is actually grounded in how our brains work, how habits form. Think about how the old negative beliefs got installed.
Through constant repetition, hearing, "we're broke," or "money is scarce," thousands of times.
Exactly. It was drilled in through repetition. So to counteract that deep conditioning and literally rewire those neural pathways, you need to use the same mechanism, consistent repetition of new positive beliefs.
So it's not magic, it's about consciously creating new mental habits, new reflexes.
Precisely. You're actively building a new neural pathway that, over time, becomes the stronger default response. So find new principles. My money works hard for me. I am an excellent money manager. I deserve abundance, whatever resonates. And make a deliberate practice of saying them out loud with conviction every single day. Morning and evening is often recommended.
You're implanting the millionaire way of thinking as a new conditioned response.
That's the goal.
Okay, declarations are step 3. Then step 4 is conscious behavioral changes. The new programs need action.
Absolutely essential. You can't just think your way to wealth. You only truly internalize something new by doing it differently. Real change demands concrete actions that force you to operate against the old script.
So if your old pattern was, say, avoiding financial discussions or decisions,
The new action has to be scheduling regular meetings to review your finances, maybe with a partner or advisor, taking responsibility.
if the old pattern was the boom and bust cycle Eker experienced,
The conscious behavioral change is forcing yourself to not risk everything on the next venture. It's building stability, maybe reinvesting only a portion of profits, building reserves, resisting the old urge.
and this applies even to small everyday things,
Yeah.
like the bargain trap example.
Yeah, that's a great one. Your old programming sees that 70% off sign and screams, buy it. It's a bargain, even if you don't need it or you're in debt.
So the conscious intervention
You
is,
stop, you feel that pull, that old urge, but then you consciously activate the new program. Wait, am I debt-free? Am I hitting my investment goals? No. Then I don't buy this, even if it's on sale.
by repeatedly forcing the new behavior, even when it feels unnatural at first.
You gradually weaken the old pattern and strengthen the new one. You move from just thinking differently to actually acting differently. That's where the real transformation happens.
All right, so we're working on overriding the old programs. Now we need to actively install the specific attitudes that characterize wealthy thinking. Principle number 1, Eker emphasizes, is taking control.
Yes. Rich people fundamentally believe they are driving the bus of their financial life. They're at the wheel, making the decisions, steering the course.
Whereas people who struggle financially often feel like
Passengers in the back seat. Things happen to them. They're waiting for their ship to come in, waiting for a lucky break, waiting for someone else, the government, their boss, to fix things. They've essentially handed over control.
And this is where the victim mentality comes in, right? Blaming external factors.
Exactly. The economy's bad. My boss doesn't pay enough. Taxes are too high. It's always something out there. And the psychological payoff is, if it's not your fault, you don't feel responsible for changing it.
But Eker's point is blunt. Until you accept that you are the primary creator of your financial reality, nothing significant will change.
Right. So the actionable step here is intense self-awareness. Catch yourself complaining or blaming. Stop mid-sentence. Then analyze the situation. What part did I play in this outcome? Did I overspend? Did I fail to negotiate? Did I not do enough research? Focus only on what you can control and change going forward.
Okay, taking control is number 1. Principle 2 hits on something that can be tricky: liking and admiring wealth.
Eker's stance is clear. If you want to be rich, you have to genuinely be okay with the idea of wealth, and you probably need to admire, or at least not resent, people who have achieved it.
This is a big one for a lot of people, isn't it? There are so many negative messages about rich people being greedy or unethical.
Absolutely. Many people carry deep-seated negative associations: fear that money will corrupt them, fear they'll be disliked, fear of the responsibility, fear that rich people are inherently bad.
And sometimes, let's be honest, the media highlights examples that seem to confirm those fears. So how do you genuinely admire wealth without feeling like you're endorsing bad behavior or ignoring valid ethical concerns?
That's a really important distinction. Eker isn't saying you have to admire every rich person or condone questionable actions. The point is about your relationship with the concept of wealth and success itself. If you subconsciously believe that rich people are bad, your mind will protect you from becoming bad by ensuring you don't become rich. It's self-sabotage driven by ingrained judgment.
So it's about separating the principle of achieving financial success from the specific actions of any one individual.
Exactly. Focus on admiring the discipline, the creativity, the scale of thinking, the value creation, the successful strategies that enabled the wealth, rather than making blanket judgments about the people themselves.
And if you despise the whole idea of being rich,
You're certainly not going to seek out advice or mentorship from successful people, are you? You cut yourself off from valuable learning opportunities because of envy or mistrust. You have to learn to value what you're aiming for.
Right. Okay, that clarifies it. Principle 3, commitment, not just wishing.
This is huge. Millionaires, Eker says, develop an unconditional commitment to becoming and staying wealthy.
Whereas most people just wish for it or hope for it.
Yeah, or they have conditions. I want to be rich, but I'm not willing to work more than 40 hours a week. Or I'd invest, but only if it's guaranteed safe. These unspoken limits act like a ceiling.
So what does unconditional commitment actually look like? Is it just working yourself to the bone?
It can mean being prepared for a period of intense effort, yes. Maybe working 16-hour days for a time, accepting less freedom or leisure initially, making sacrifices in terms of immediate gratification. It's basically saying, I am fully in whatever it takes for the long haul.
And this ties into the growth mandate, doesn't it? The idea that your wealth only grows if you grow.
Absolutely. Commitment means committing to continuous learning and personal development. It's non-negotiable for serious wealth building.
Reading books, taking courses, attending seminars on investing, business strategies, mindset.
All of it. Because your business, your investments, your income, they will rarely outgrow you. You have to constantly increase your knowledge, your skills, your capacity.
Makes sense. Okay, principle 4. Thinking big and focusing on results.
Right. Rich people don't just aim for enough to be comfortable or a secure income. They aim for massive wealth. Millions, tens of millions, billions.
All most people are aiming for.
Financial security, paying the bills, maybe a nice vacation, which is fine, but Eker argues that small thinking leads to small actions, which lead to small results. The universe tends to give you what you ask for, so you need to ask bigger.
So thinking big means?
It means thinking in terms of scale. How many people can my product or service reach? Am I thinking about serving 20 clients locally or 20,000 globally? Your income potential is often directly related to the number of lives you impact or the size of the problem you solve.
And this connects to the idea of getting paid for results, not just time.
Crucial distinction. If you're paid by the hour, even a high hourly rate, you're capped. There are only so many hours in a day. You've put a ceiling on your income.
Like a highly paid consultant or lawyer.
Exactly. Whereas truly wealthy people structure things so they're paid based on the results they deliver or the scale of their enterprise. This has no inherent upper limit.
So instead of being the best freelance graphic designer, paid for time.
The big thinking approach is to build an agency that employs dozens of designers, serving hundreds of clients. You're leveraging systems and people to deliver results at scale.
The masseur versus the owner of a chain of massage studios.
Perfect example. One is limited by their own hands and time. The other has potentially unlimited income.
And if you weren't raised thinking this way, if big thinking feels unnatural,
then you need to consciously change your environment. Surround yourself with people who do think big, who aim high. Eker uses the analogy, if you want to fly with the eagles, don't swim with the ducks. Being around ambitious, successful people helps normalize ambitious thinking for yourself.
Okay, so let's say you've shifted the mindset. You're thinking bigger, maybe starting to earn more significant money. The next big piece is managing it strategically, right? Moving from just earning well to actually building wealth.
Exactly. And the first key shift here is focusing on the right metric. Too many people equate wealth with high income.
But Eker says that's wrong. The real measure is
net worth. That's the true measure of wealth.
Can you break that down? What's the difference, practically speaking?
Sure. Net worth is the total value of everything you own. Cash, savings, investments like stocks or real estate, valuable possessions, minus everything you owe. Debts, mortgages, loans.
So someone could have a really high income, say a doctor earning $500,000 a year.
But if they spend $480,000 of it on a lavish lifestyle, expensive cars, huge mortgage payments, their income is high, but their net worth might be very low, or even negative if they have significant debt. They're living large, but they aren't truly wealthy.
Compared to someone else, maybe a teacher, who earns much less.
But lives frugally and consistently invests a portion of their income over many years. They might have a modest income, but their net worth, their ownership of appreciating assets like stocks or property, could be substantial. They are financially much more secure.
So the goal isn't just earning more, it's increasing your net worth over time.
That's the game, making your assets grow.
And a huge part of that is passive income, isn't it?
absolutely critical. You can't just earn money and hide it under the mattress or even just let it sit in a checking account. Money needs to be put to work.
To make more money.
Exactly. Passive income is money you earn without actively trading your time for it. Think dividends from stocks, interest from bonds, rental income from property, royalties from a book or invention.
Money that comes in while you're sleeping, basically.
That's the dream, right? And Eker argues it's essential. If your money isn't working for you, generating more money, you'll likely have to work forever. Achieving real financial freedom relies heavily on building passive income streams.
Okay, so how do you actually manage your money day to day to build net worth and passive income? Eker has a very specific system, the account split.
Yes, this is a really practical, disciplined approach he recommends to hardwire good financial habits. It forces you to allocate your money consciously.
How does it work? You literally divide your income.
Yeah, the idea is that every single dollar that comes in gets split into different jars or accounts, each with a specific purpose. The percentages can be understood, but he gives a baseline recommendation.
Okay, what's split?
Roughly. 50% goes towards your necessities, basic living costs, bills, rent, mortgage, food, transport,
Right.
the essentials.
Okay, half for living.
Then another 10% might go into a long-term savings for spending account. This could be for bigger planned purchases, like a new car, a vacation, home repairs, things you'll eventually spend but need to save up for.
Makes sense.
Now, the really crucial one, 10% goes into your financial freedom account, or FFA.
The FFA, what's special about this 10%?
This is the golden goose. This money has one purpose and one purpose only, to be invested to generate passive income and grow your net worth. The absolute rule is you never spend the principal in this account.
Never?
Never. It's your wealth building engine. You invest at stocks, bonds, real estate, whatever fits your strategy. The returns generated by these investments, the dividends, the interest, the rental income, those you can eventually spend, or better yet, reinvest. But the original capital stays invested, always working for you.
Wow, that's disciplined. It forces you to build that passive income stream.
Exactly. It makes saving and investing automatic, non-negotiable.
Okay, so that's 50 plus 10 plus 10 plus 70%. What about the rest?
Right. Then he suggests 10% for education investing in yourself, books, courses, seminars like we talked about. Another 10% for giving or charity if that aligns with your values. And the final 10%, this one surprises some people, goes into a play account.
A play account. 10% just for fun.
Yes. And the rule here is equally strict. You must spend all the money in this play account every single month, or maybe every quarter for larger items.
Spend it all.
Where?
Doesn't that contradict saving?
It seems counterintuitive, but it serves a vital psychological purpose. This is your feel like a millionaire account. You use it for guilt-free enjoyment, splurge on that fancy dinner, buy those concert tickets, get a massage, order the expensive champagne.
Why is that important?
It trains your inner receiver. It helps you feel worthy and deserving of abundance and luxury. If you only ever focus on saving and depriving yourself, your subconscious might start to associate wealth with sacrifice and denial, making you uncomfortable with having more money. The play account balances the discipline with reward, nurturing the part of you that enjoys wealth.
That's actually brilliant. It connects the practical financial management with the inner game, the mindset piece. You're managing money effectively and conditioning yourself to be comfortable with wealth.
Exactly. It's a holistic system. And while you're having fun with that 10%, remember you're still being disciplined with the other portions, particularly the FFA. This play account supports the delayed gratification needed elsewhere.
Because you still need that long-term focus. Saving, keeping costs reasonable, not blowing every raise on lifestyle inflation.
Right. Constantly upgrading your car or wardrobe just because your income went up is a trap that keeps people from accumulating real assets. Those who build lasting wealth generally prioritize investing over consuming, especially early on. They delay gratification for long-term freedom. #Chag6, self-value and promotion.
This connects really well to another crucial inner game element, self-value. Eker stresses that wealthy people, deep down, feel they deserve to be rich.
Yeah, there's an underlying conviction of worthiness, whereas people who struggle financially often carry a sense of unworthiness, even if it's unconscious.
And how does that lack of self-worth block financial success?
It sabotages you in countless ways. If you don't feel worthy, you won't ask for the raise you deserve, you'll undercharge for your services, you'll negotiate poorly, you might even shy away from big opportunities because deep down you feel like you don't belong in that league or couldn't handle the success.
It affects every transaction, every decision.
Absolutely. Your outer financial world reflects your inner sense of value.
And this ties directly into the issue of promotion, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So many of us are taught it's impolite or arrogant to toot your own horn.
Oh, yeah. That conditioning runs deep. Be humble. Don't brag. Good work speaks for itself.
But in the business world, that doesn't quite cut it, does it?
Not if you want to achieve significant success. Eker puts it bluntly. The millionaire attitude is, if I don't toot my own horn, who will? If you have a valuable product, service, or idea, you have to be willing to promote it enthusiastically.
Otherwise, how will potential customers, clients, or investors even know about it?
Exactly. People who refuse to promote themselves or their offerings, often because they feel unworthy or fear rejection, are essentially guaranteeing their own obscurity and limiting their financial potential. It's a major reason why many talented, capable people never get rich.
So the first step is really knowing your own value, identifying your talents.
Yes, figure out what you're genuinely good at, what unique value you can bring, then package that into a service or product that you believe in 100%. That conviction is contagious. If you don't believe in what you're offering, you'll never convince anyone else to buy or invest.
Your belief in yourself is almost part of the product.
It really is. And Eker even suggests ways to actively condition this sense of worthiness, like breathing the air of the rich.
What does that involve? Hanging out where wealthy people are?
Kind of, yeah. Deliberately putting yourself in environments where wealth feels normal and comfortable. Go have coffee at the fanciest hotel in town. Join a club, even if it's just for a trial period. Visit high-end stores and allow yourself to feel comfortable there, not intimidated.
It's about normalizing abundance in your own mind, training yourself to feel like you belong.
Exactly. It reinforces that new, higher setting on your internal thermostat. It's about building the inner belief first, which then makes it easier to project that confidence outwardly and persuade others, clients, investors, partners to believe in you too. So, if we bring this all together, the core message from Eker is pretty clear. Your financial success, or lack thereof, has far less to do with external factors like luck or the economy than most people think.
It really boils down to those internal programs, the thought patterns and beliefs about money, usually installed in childhood.
Right. And achieving lasting wealth isn't just about learning new strategies. It requires a conscious effort to first recognize your limiting patterns. Then you have to actively commit to replacing those old mental files with new principles, the millionaire blueprint.
And that involves taking consistent, disciplined action.
Yes, thinking bigger, committing fully, practicing continuous growth, managing money smartly with systems like the account split, valuing yourself, and being willing to promote that value. It's a combination of inner mindset shifts and outer strategic actions.
Okay, so we've spent this time diving deep into the idea that your current financial situation, the number in your bank account, your net worth trajectory, is essentially a reflection, a printout of your current inner programming. If we think of that number as a constant report card, here's a final thought to consider. What unconscious strategy are you currently employing? Maybe it's playing it safe. Maybe it's the victim role. Maybe it's that rebellious spending to keep your financial grade exactly where it is right now. And more importantly, what one conscious habit, starting today, could you choose to adopt to begin breaking that pattern and reprogramming your results? Thanks for listening to the Sigma Plus podcast. If you're ready to learn smarter, think bigger, and achieve more, subscribe today and start turning ideas into action, because big ideas change lives.